By Bad Brick 7 and CricTracker. Clinical India wrapping up a 71 runs win in Zimbabwe to finish with 8 points, the highest across the two groups. And they have, of course, finished at the top of Group 2 as well, which means that they'll be facing England on the 10th of November. Now, India won the toss and decided to bat first. Suryakumar Yadav once again doing Suryakumar Yadav things, 61 unbeaten of 25 for him. And of the last five, India 79 runs, third 60 Yadav. Here Rahul slamming his second consecutive half century, and Virat Kohli too chipping in with 26. So Sean Williams, Sikandar Raza amongst wickets for Zimbabwe, and the slower bowlers doing the trick there for Zimbabwe. On the other hand, for India, it was the Pacers who were on the money. Each of the Pacers getting a wicket of their very first over. Eventually, Ravichandran Ashwin too in his last 2 overs, picking up 3 wickets. There was a partnership between Burl and Sikandar Raza of 60 of 35 deliveries, but in the end, India too good for the Zimbabwe side as it completed 71 runs win. To talk about this game in detail, we've got Kobus Olivier and Nikhil Chopra. Now, Nikhil, सबसे पहले भारत के इस प्रदर्शन का जिक्र करते हैं, उसके बारे में विस्तृत चर्चा करते हैं. कहीं पे भी जिम्बाब्वे को हावी नहीं हो दिया.
जी नहीं, बिल्कुल. और ग्रुप को टॉप किया. बड़ी खबर यह है मेगा कि भारत अब सेमीफाइनल मुकाबला इंग्लैंड के खिलाफ एडिलेड में खेलेगी. और जिम्बाब्वे ने जरूर पटखनी दी थी पाकिस्तान को, लेकिन जिस तरीके से भारतीय टीम क्रिकेट खेल रही है, जो क्लिनिकल परफॉर्मेंस रही, बल्लेबाजी देख लीजिए. सूर्यकुमार यादव एक बार फिर से वो ताबड़तोड़ तरीके से वो अर्शतक उन्होंने लगाया. एकमात्र बल्लेबाज जिन्होंने 1000 रन एक कैलेंडर ईयर में पूरे किए. और मजे की बात, वो 180 के स्ट्राइक रेट से 1000 रन बनाए T20 क्रिकेट में. आज भी जिस तरीके से उन्होंने बल्लेबाजी की, ये वो गोंद है जो पूरे मध्यक्रम को जोड़ के रखा है. और इस तरीके के फॉर्म में आपका मध्यक्रम का बैट्समैन हो, टॉप पे आपके बल्लेबाज एक्सप्रेस कर सकते हैं अपने आप को. केएल राहुल ने जिस तरीके से अर्शतक बनाया, विराट कोहली का वो एक 26 रन का कैमियो, वो अच्छे फॉर्म में चल रहे हैं. रोहित, मुझे लगता है एडिलेड की पिच उनको सूट करेगी. स्क्वायर ऑफ द बाउंड्रीज छोटी है, बट भारत सेमीफाइनल में जोर और शोर से प्रवेश करता हुआ और अपने ग्रुप को टॉप पे फिनिश करके, इससे बेहतर क्या हो सकता है.
And a very pertinent point raised by you, that's on Suryakumar Yadav's role in the middle order, because we saw that for a while in between Cobus there was a blip wherein India had lost 3 wickets in 3 overs, had scored just 18, and after that Suryakumar Yadav came to the crease. Now, how does one bowl to him? What is his weakness?
Yeah, I hate to compare players, but I don't normally do it. But I think at the moment he's probably the closest we're ever going to see to AB de Villiers. He just, I mean, he's a 360 player, and it is almost impossible. I mean, if a team sits down and work, I mean, do you bowl fast bowlers? Do you bowl outside off? Do you bowl short? It doesn't matter where you bowl, you're going to fetch. And he's in the form of his life at the moment. I mean, some of the shots he's playing, it's outrageous, and that's just confidence. And also, again, the wickets in Australia, it's fantastic for this World Cup, these Australian wickets. With the ball coming onto the bat, it allows batsmen to play those kind of shots. But at the moment, he's really, I would say, he's in a league of his own with the kind of shots he plays.
Outrageous indeed is the word, but Nikhil, exactly उनको पता होता है कि फील्डर कहाँ होते हैं, क्योंकि स्क्वायर ऑफ द विकेट खेल रहे हो, फाइन खेल रहे हो, कहीं भी खेल रहे हो, फील्डर बहुत दूर होता है, बॉल आसानी से सीमा रेखा की तरफ चली जाती है.
देखिए, उनकी प्रिपरेशन बहुत अच्छी है, और जब एक बैट्समैन मेगा इस किस्म के फॉर्म में होता है, तो फील्ड के साथ आप अनुमान लगा सकते हैं कि गेंदबाज कहाँ गेंद करने को देख रहा है. इसको कहते हैं हम लोग अपनी क्रिकेटिंग भाषा में कि आप गेंदबाज से एक कदम आगे चल रहे हैं. जब आप बॉलर का आप दिमाग पढ़ लेते हैं, तो वो पहले से ही तैयार होते हैं. जैसे ही वो रिवर्स स्वीप या पैडल स्वीप पेस बॉलर को खेला, उसके बाद वो फील्ड की सजावट, क्या वो ऑफ स्टंप की बाहर यॉर्कर डालने को देख रहे हैं, तो उस गेंद के लिए तैयार है. फील्ड लेग साइड पे जो सजावट है, 4 खिलाड़ी ऑन साइड पे हो जाएंगे डीप में, आपको पता है स्लोअर बाउंसर डालने को देखेगा गेंदबाज या स्लोअर बॉल, तो आप उसके लिए तैयार हो जाते हैं. तो पता चलता है कि कितनी अच्छी तरीके से ये बल्लेबाज वो गेम को रीड भी कर रहा है।
एक कदम आगे रहने का आपने जिक्र किया, एक कदम पीछे, यानी बैकफुट के अच्छे खिलाड़ी हैं केएल राहुल, एंड that is the thing that the Indian team management cited as they backed him despite a string of 3 low scores where he could just get single digit scores. Now KL Rahul slamming back to back half centuries, vindicating the faith that the team showed in him. Kobus.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I know it's an old cliche, and people say form is temporary, class is permanent, but he's a class player. I mean, he was always going to come good in this tournament, and he's coming good at the right time. I mean, his last innings, as you say, he scored a 50 against Bangladesh, today a 51. So he's hitting his straps just at the right time, and he's peaking, we hope, for the semi-final. And I think he will be one of the batters. The England bowling attack is phenomenal as well. They're one of the better bowling attacks with the pace of wood. And they're definitely going to sit down before Thursday and work out the strategy about to get him early. Because if he gets going early on, he sets a platform for Sky to come and play those kind of shots. So he's found form at the right time. But he's a class player.
निखिल हमें बताएंगे कि एग्जैक्टली कितने स्पेक्टेटर स्टेडियम में थे, उन्हें जो ट्रीट मिला वो इंडियन रिस्ट वर्क का था, वो चाहे विराट कोहली हो, केएल राहुल हो, सूर्य कुमार यादव हो. आई मीन हाउ ब्यूटीफुल इज दैट टू वॉच फॉर अ क्रिकेट फैन.
अरे मेघा, क्या कह रहे थे आप?
रिस्ट वर्क जो देखने को मिला उतने सारे स्पेक्टेटर्स को जो कि स्टेडियम में थे, एग्जैक्ट काउंट आप हमें बताएंगे, और इतने बाकी जो व्यूअर्स थे जो कि टीवी से या फिर इंटरनेट से जुड़े थे उस मैच के साथ.
देखिए, जो थोड़ी आवाज इतनी क्लियर नहीं आ रही है, पर जो मुझे समझ में आया, आप रिस्वर्क की अगर बात कर रहे हैं सूर्य कुमार यादव को लेके, वो रिस्वर्क आपके हाथ जो है हल्के रहेंगे तभी आप अंत में अपना स्ट्रोक बदल सकते हैं. अगर आपके हाथ कड़े होंगे, वो रिस्ट अगर कड़ी होगी, तो फिर अंत में आप जो है ना अपने शॉट को बदल नहीं सकते. कितनी बारी देखा है सूर्य कुमार यादव एक शॉट के लिए अगर कमिट भी होते हैं, अगर बॉलर उनको दूसरी लाइन पे डालता है तो वो बहुत अच्छी तरीके से वो मैनिपुलेट कर लेते हैं. वो सुधार उनकी बल्लेबाजी में तुरंत दिखता है, वो इम्प्रोवाइजेशन दिखाई देती है, क्योंकि उनकी कलाइयां जो है ना वो बहुत सफल रहती हैं. और यही उनका परफॉर्मेंसेस का वो रहस्य है कि अंतिम समय तक वो गेंद को देखते हैं और फिर अंत में जाके वो गेम को चेंज करते हैं.
And Nikhil, what is it with Rishabh Pant and left arm spinners? जब भी वो लेफ्ट आर्म स्पिनर्स को देखते हैं, बड़े शॉट खेलने की कोशिश करते हैं. आज भी शॉन विलियम्स.
मैं अगले मुकाबले से पहले आपके साथ फिर से जुड़ूंगा. कॉमर्स, इट वाज रियली नाइस, बट टू ऑल द इंडियन क्रिकेट फैंस एंड द इंडियन क्रिकेट टीम, इंतजार खत्म हुआ. वो कहते हैं ना कहानियों में, पिक्चरों में जैसा होता है, 15 साल पहले पहला विश्व कप अपने नाम आया था, 15 साल के बाद भी मिशन मेलबर्न हमारा होगा.
Absolutely. I mean, that's a triumphant note to actually sign off, Nikhil, and one that would remember, of course, for the coming days as well. Now, Hobus, what we were referring to is Rishabh Pant. Indian team management brought him in the 11. Of course, he wasn't amongst runs in this game, but somehow there's this thing with Rishabh Pant and left arm spinners. Whenever he sees one, he tries to attack the spinner, but then this time perishing to Sean Williams.
Yes, I find it a bit surprising for a player with his talent to keep basically making the same mistake. I mean, he could easily, especially today, he had time to play himself in. He didn't have to have a go from the word go. And I would have thought, just give himself a few balls, play Sean Williams out. And I mean, Williams only bowled, if I'm correct, he only bowled 2 overs today. He bowled 2 overs. And I would have thought that, for 9 runs, and all Pant really had to do was to wait for the paces to come back. You saw what Yadav did, and I think very much Pant could have would be hoping to do the same against the pace with the ball coming onto the bat. So I don't think he played a very clever, a very smart innings today. There was no need for that. Just play it around for a bit, get yourself in, and then wait for the paces for the ball coming onto the bat. That's that's his game. So I think he'll sit back and he'll probably have a good look at his game plan for the next game, if he's selected, obviously.
Interesting. And you can have a look at the how the game panned out between the two sides. India, of course, winning the toss and opting to bat first. In the first innings, it was KL Rahul, Rohit Sharma opening for India. Rohit Sharma once again now pull shot has got him a lot of runs. It has helped him dominate bowling attacks, but this time Rohit Sharma fell to a pull shot of the delivery of Blessing Muzarabani, and then there was a partnership between KL Rahul and Virat Kohli. KL Rahul bringing his half century with the six, but falling the very next ball to Sikandar Raza of a slow delivery, and then of course Suryakumar Yadav started his fireworks down the order, 61 unbeaten of 25, like we mentioned earlier, 79 runs of the last five to ensure that India raced off to 186 for five towards the end. Now, of course, Richard started off with the maiden over, but after that was slammed for plenty. Same with Muzarabani as well, was taken to cleaners in the second innings as Zimbabwe set out in its chase. They were dealt with blow early on, and once again, the thing that we've been pointing out within the power play overs, they had lost three of their wickets. And again, in the seventh over, they lost their fourth wicket as well. There was a partnership for the sixth wicket, but like you can see, there are contributions from Sikandar Raza and Burl, but not much to write home about as far as other batters are concerned. Early on movement that the Indian bowlers got was too much for the Zimbabwe batters, and for India, eventually Ravichandran Ashwin returning with three wickets. That was very important because we saw Cobras that as far as the Zimbabwe spinners are concerned, they were getting a lot from the wicket. They were dominating for a while at least Indian batters, but the same couldn't have been said for the Indian spinners at least early on, until of course Ravichandran Ashwin stepped into his last two overs.
Yeah, I would say again, I was quite surprised with the decision by Craig Irvine today not to bowl his spinners out. I mean, as we said, Williams only bowled 2 overs. He got 2 wickets for 9 runs. Raza had an over left in the bank. He only bowled 3 overs for 18 runs and 1 wicket. And I think I mean, it's not for me to say, but I think Irvine missed a trick today. I would have thought at that stage, especially towards the end. I mean, uh, Nigarava went for 21 runs in the 20th over. I'm not saying one of the spinners should have bowled the last over, but I would have taken the pace off a bit, probably coming to over 16, 17, 18. I would have bowled those 3 overs that the spinners had during that period and made sure that the spinners completed their overs and taking the pace off a bit, because you could see Yadav was just using the pace of the ball. Not to say he wasn't going to get hold of a spin bowler, but at least with their economical figures, I would have bowled my spin bowlers, definitely gave them their full quota of 4 overs. And they could have even had a look at Irvine himself. I mean, he bowls a bit of spin, try to bowl a bit more spin in this innings. I think the pace bowlers I mean, they were in for a hiding today. And then Ashwin, as you mentioned, I think he came good just at the right time. The final will be at the MCG, so it was a perfect dress rehearsal for India today. They would see this as, they had no pressure on them. They're already in the semis, so they were working obviously on the roles of the players in the team, when which bowler should bowl, and I think they played the perfect T20 game today, and everything went according to plan for India today, with Ashwin showing that at the MCG, with his experience, he's a class bowler, and he's going to be a factor in the next 2 games.
All right, then. Interesting point, of course. India, there are some concerns, area of concerns still, and quickly to address them. Now, in India's case, one of the things is Rohit Sharma would be itching to come up with a big score, and the second issue being runs from the wicketkeeper batsman.
Yeah, up front, I mean, today they had they put on 46. They had 46 runs in the power play, which I think it's as good as you can do. And Sharma definitely, he's again. It's like Rohit. He's going to get you runs in these big games. You're not going to change anything on your opening batsman partnership at the moment. They're getting into form now. It's not easy. It hasn't been an easy tournament for the opening batsman up to now. If you look back, openers have struggled. I mean, look
Yeah.
at a Quinton de Kock. He started off well, and then he just couldn't. After that, he didn't score runs. So you haven't really had good opening partnerships in the whole tournament. Rizwan and Baba. I mean, they two world class. We would have expected them to fire up front for this Pakistani team, and they also only now they're coming into form. So it's been a very, very hard tournament for opening batsmen with a pacey bouncy wickets. Just about every team has a good fast bowling attack. You look at Holland today; their fast bowlers were outstanding. So there's no easy fast bowling attack in this tournament. So for the opening batsman, it's been tough, and I think it took the openers a bit of time to get used to the extra pace, extra bounce on the Australian wickets. And I'm sure these Indian, well, the top order, they've got a settled good top order. I know your wicketkeeper batsman,
Yeah.
Pant, hasn't really played a lot now. He's been sitting watching cricket, so it
Yeah.
wasn't easy for him today. And I was a bit surprised, to be very honest, that they left Kartik out today. I didn't expect that. I thought they've got their settled team. They obviously felt today there's nothing in the game really, and they could try experiment. And if he came off today and he played a typical punt innings, he could have scored a 15, 20 balls, and then obviously then they had that option. I think I expect them to go back to Kartik for the semi and the final. I think they're going to go back. They tried today; it didn't quite come off for punt. So I think the Indian team has got their World Cup semi-final and final team pretty much worked out. The players know their role. They're a fantastic unit as a team, and they put up a perfect performance today. It was a perfect one-day 2020 performance, putting the runs on the board up front. The opposition was never in the game, with their bowlers completely dominating. So India, they've only got positives to take back from this, and it put them in the right space for the big match on Thursday. I mean, that's going to be huge against England. England has got a top side as well, so it's going to be a really, really exciting game. And I look forward to an Indian team. I back India to win that match, and I'm really looking forward to Thursday.
You mentioned semi-finals and the finals. Now that sounds like music to our ears. But you also mentioned the challenges presented by the power play overs. And asked Zimbabwe that question. They have lost 23 wickets through the of course, the group stages and the Super 12 within the power play overs. If you look back at Zimbabwe's campaign and encapsulate it within a few lines, how would you reflect on their journey in this tournament? And probably you can look back a bit further and post the time when they lost to Afghanistan. Since then, there has been a sort of resurgence. How do you look at it?
Yeah, I think Zimbabwe came into this tournament full of hope. That fantastic win against Pakistan, everybody sort of started looking at them as probably the team that could cause the upset out of the call them the smaller nations, and not so much the Netherlands. And
Yeah.
Zimbabwe, I mean, the Netherlands went home today. I can imagine the party. I mean, I spent 4 years in Holland. Involved with Dutch cricket, and those guys know how to party. I tell you what, they're going to paint Amsterdam orange for the rest of the week. But the Zimbabwe team really, with the experienced coach like David Houghton, they were expected. There was a lot expected from them, and once they got to the Super 12, they really didn't perform up to the standard that they would expect from themselves. I think from the beginning they came in with a bit of a thin batting order. Their top six, especially up front in the power plays, they've very much stumbled from one disaster to the next. They never got going, and they relied on Raza, way too much, and to a lesser extent Williams. And today Bill played a nice little innings there, but it was very much. It was always the sort of Raza show. And
Yeah.
when you play at this level in a tournament like this, you can't rely on one batsman to score, to score your runs. It's got to be your top six, sort of at least one batsman batting deep, and then the other batsman batting around him, but sort of two or three other batsmen chipping in with 20s, 30s at like two. Probably you would hope for them to bat at 2 runs a ball. And then, say your Raza or your Irvine, you would expect a lot more from him. Batting deep into the innings, at even a runner ball is fine if you have two other batsmen coming in batting at 2 runs a ball. but he just never had that support. There was just no consistency, and they were always on the ropes. I mean, every time he came into bat, he was under pressure, and he still had a fantastic tournament, which says a lot for him as a player. He's a phenomenal player to be. I mean, if he had that support from the other batsmen, he could have really done a lot better. But he was always under that pressure where he knew once he gets out, it's basically the wheels come off.
Yeah, collective effort is probably what Zimbabwe couldn't put up. Although, of course, they did manage a couple of interesting games that really lit up the tournament, and of course, that game against Zimbabwe wouldn't be forgotten too soon. Now, collective effort is what makes this show what it is. Runneeti. That also, of course, includes the team that works behind the camera, our producer, and everybody involved with the graphics, the content, and the social media handles that make this show so quirky. Now let's have a look at what the buzz was around ahead of this game and after this game, of course, unfolded. So, Social Tracker brought to you by Bad Brick 7. All right, then the conversations around this game, stop it, Surya, or don't. Well, Suryakumar Yadav, what a form he's been enjoying, and he's absolutely a pleasure to watch with the sort of shots that he can conjure up. And conjure up is a word because some of those are outrageous, as Kobus just mentioned. Milestone for Suryakumar Yadav, as BCCI aptly reminds, 1,000 T20I runs and counting for Suryakumar Yadav. He becomes the first Indian batter to reach this milestone in 2022. Now, those are humongous numbers, and of course, the strike rate also around 180. 1080 degree players. We keep talking about 360 degree, but here's Suryakumar Yadav. Now, there was a scoop that he almost played one handed, and that's what Suryakumar Yadav can do. The Bami Army reminding us how good he has been, how versatile he has been, and 1080 degree play. Harsha Bhogle chipped in as well. He mentioned you can scarcely believe the kind of finish. Keep the highlights and watch them again and again. Very few in T20 cricket have batted like Sky is batting now. He turns a proper match into a highlights footage as well because there are boundaries flowing left, right, and center when Suryakumar Yadav is on song, and what a song it was. Now, also, irrespective of what happens next, Harsha Bhogle believes the Netherlands, Zimbabwe, Ireland, even Namibia and Scotland have demanded more opportunities in T20 cricket, and that's why we saw in this edition as well. There were, of course, four teams qualifying, and this World Cup should lead to greater democratization of our game. It's so important. I mean, this World Cup has been so interesting up till the Super stage because of the so-called upsets. Irfan Pathan added Netherlands playing some quality cricket. Imagine teams like Ireland, Netherlands, Zimbabwe, and Afghanistan get to play top ranking teams regularly. Now, that's how they improve when they face quality competition day in and day out. When they got that platform, they made the most out of it in making this statement. There's another comment saying Pakistan's bowling unit has been outstanding in this tournament. अगर भारत के खिलाफ उनका प्रदर्शन देखें, भारत को 160 6 विकेट के नुकसान पर सीमित किया 20 ओवर में, और वो मुकाबला ऑफ कोर्स आखिरी बॉल तक गया था. जिम्बाब्वे को 130 तक सीमित किया, हालांकि एक रन से हार गए, लेकिन गेंदबाजी शानदार रही. नेदरलैंड्स के खिलाफ भी नेदरलैंड्स को पहले गेंदबाजी करते हुए 91 फॉर 9 पर रोका 20 ओवर में, कहीं भी उन्हें एक्सेलरेट नहीं करने दिया. साउथ अफ्रीका के खिलाफ भी शानदार गेंदबाजी रही. डकवर्थ लुइस मेथड उस मुकाबले में लगा था और टीम को टारगेट के आसपास भी नहीं पहुंचने दिया. 108 9 विकेट पर बनाने दिए 14 ओवर में. और बांग्लादेश के खिलाफ भी आज शानदार प्रदर्शन रहा, डिस्पाइट द फैक्ट कि बांग्लादेश की शुरुआत अच्छी हुई थी, लेकिन 127 रन ही बनाने दिए बांग्लादेश को, जिसको इवेंचुअली चेज डाउन कर लिया पाकिस्तान ने. 5 विकेट शेष रहते. क्रिक ट्रैकर पूछ रहा है कि क्या पाकिस्तान और इंडिया डू अ फेवर टू द नेदरलैंड्स. और ऑफ कोर्स ये संदर्भ ये है कि नेदरलैंड्स चाहेगा कि टॉप 4 में फिनिश करे, और टॉप 4 में फिनिश करने से उन्हें डायरेक्ट क्वालिफिकेशन मिल जाएगा यूएस में खेले जाने, यूएस कैरिबियन में खेले जाने वाले T20 विश्व कप में 2024 में. और इनफैक्ट एक there was this interesting clip doing rounds wherein Babar Azam was expressing his gratitude towards the Dutch players for providing them an opportunity of staking their claims for the semi-finals. And of course, there was another request from the Dutch side that Babar Azam's team defeat Bangladesh and ensure that Dutch get away to finish in the top 4. So it has all panned out the way it was planned.
Yeah, I mean that was the one thing that I actually made a mistake. I stand to be corrected. I said that there's nothing really in that match for the Netherlands today. They're on their way home. They're just playing, but they had all to play for. Uh, I wasn't aware of the fact that if they finish in the top four, that they would automatically qualify for the next World Cup, and that is huge for these smaller countries. When you qualify for a World Cup, their funding. I mean, basically, their cricket can only survive on funding from the ICC. And I had quite a bit of experience as well. I was involved with Kenya Cricket in 2014. I was CEO of Kenya Cricket. And when you start, that's where the decline of Kenyan cricket in the last couple of years, or more than a couple of years, has been the fact that they haven't been able to qualify for any World Cups, and then your grants get a lot smaller from the ICC, and you just don't have money for tours. You can't really host tournaments. Your senior players play a lot less. There's less money for development. And for Dutch cricket, this was absolutely vital today, because by qualifying for the next World Cup, their grant will be increased by a lot of money. And that is the lifeline of these smaller countries. They need that money, and by qualifying for World Cups, it enables them to develop the game, to get more cricket for their players. So this was actually this match was as important for Dutch cricket today as it was for South Africa to qualify for a semi-final. In perspective, it was a huge match for the Netherlands today, and I'm really glad for Dutch cricket that they managed to pull that off today, because they're in a very good space. They've worked really hard. They've got a good coaching team. They've got some really good players, as they showed today. And I think Dutch cricket can only go forward from here. And that's why it's a bit worrying that Zimbabwe cricket, where they stand at the moment, they'll have to have a very close look at themselves, and there need to be some changes in that setup.
Mm. In fact, you mentioned about, of course, the grants, and then there are scouts, there are fans watching, the eyeballs on the players, and the eyeballs would be on the players who have finished as the at the end of the Super 12 stage as the highest run getters, as the highest run wicket takers, and of course, we are considering Super 12 and qualifiers as well, and that's why you'd see plenty of names from the teams that caused the upsets. But before that, Virat Kohli, what a form he is in. 5 matches to his name. Now, average has gone down a bit because remember it was 220 at the start of the game. Today, also, he contributed with that cameo of 24. In total, 246 runs to his name, strike rate of 138. Suryakumar Yadav, he's been creating splash in this World Cup, strike rate of 193, average of 75. He has left quite an impact in the Super 12 stage. But of course, Max O'Dowd as well, featuring in the top five, 8 innings, and he has been crucial as well, scoring runs at an average of 34 and a strike rate of 112. Kusal Mendes for Sri Lanka, Sikandar Raza today as well. He kept on fighting, including that partnership for the sixth wicket that kept the match alive as a contest, albeit for a while. 8 innings for him, average of 27 and strike rate of 147. Now, talking about the most wicket takers in this edition of the World Cup thus far, Vanindu Hasaranga, despite the fact that some of the wickets have had a lot of bounce that doesn't suit Hasaranga's bowling, he has managed to take 15 wickets. Is at the top, was at the top in the previous edition of the World Cup as well. Bas Elite, 8 matches for him, 13 wickets to his name. Blessing Muzurabani was expensive today, was taken for 50 runs today, but otherwise has bowled brilliantly in this World Cup. Economy still 7.65, 12 wickets to his name. Josh Little with his left arm angle and swing that he's able to generate early on, 11 wickets to his name. And Randrick Norkia, 2 4-4s for him, and in total 11 wickets to his name. Now let's gloat over the points table and how it looks at the conclusion of the Super 12. So from Group 2, it's India and Pakistan that have qualified. India ने 5 मुकाबले खेले, 5 में 1 मुकाबला गवाया साउथ अफ्रीका के खिलाफ, लेकिन उसके अलावा 4 मुकाबले जो जीते उसके बदौलत 8 पॉइंट्स पे फिनिश किया, सबसे ज्यादा दोनों ग्रुप्स में। और भारत खेलेगा इंग्लैंड के खिलाफ अपना सेमीफाइनल्स का मुकाबला 10 नवंबर को वहीं पाकिस्तान खेलेगा न्यूजीलैंड के खिलाफ मुकाबला, और ये मुकाबला होगा 9 नवंबर को। न्यूजीलैंड ने टॉप किया ग्रुप 1 में, और हालांकि ग्रुप 1 काफी टाइट रहा अंत तक, बिकॉज हम देख रहे हैं कि 3 टीमें 7 पॉइंट्स पे फिनिश करती हुई, लेकिन ऑस्ट्रेलिया नेट रन रेट के कारण वहां पर मात खाता हुआ आयरलैंड और अफगानिस्तान के खिलाफ जीत जरूर हासिल की, लेकिन बड़ा मार्जिन नहीं मैनेज कर पाया। तो खैर, इट रियली सेट्स इट अप नाइसली फॉर द semi-finals that are to be held on the 9th and 10th of November. So much to look forward to, and some high quality cracking contests to look forward to is what we'd expect. We'll be back again with the semi-finals. As of now, thank you so much, Kobus, for joining and sharing your insights, all your research, all your analysis. We truly appreciate. And that's all from the team of CricTracker as far as the Super 12 stages are concerned. We shall conclude our show, Runneeti, brought to you by Batbrick 7 and CricTracker. We'll be back again with the semi-finals.
Thank you to the CricTracker team for having me. Fantastic team to work for. Thank you.
Thank you.